Hi you guys, it's me Arden Lee. I'm back with another video. Today's video is also a request from one of the members of the Repatterning Parlor. And what this person asked is, what do you do if you've recognized that you have a pattern of moving geographically from place to place as a sort of means of escaping and never settling down and building community? I'm so excited to answer that question, but I wanted to remind everyone before I get into that topic that we are enrolling now for the winter 2020 session of the Repatterning Project. We begin January 26th. I'm so excited. So if you're feeling moved by these videos and you want to do the whole process of the container from start to finish to really experience that deep soul level transformation, then I would love to hear from you. So reach out, shoot me a PM, and we'll hop on a call and decide if now is the right time for you to do this kind of work. So, okay, so let's get into this pattern about this question about this pattern of wanting to move from place to place so as never to settle down and build community. I've been thinking, like, how am I going to title this video, because it's really it's not even about the travel. It's about an unwillingness to go deep, right? We see people do this also in relationships, right? They'll date people for about 3 months, 6 months, whatever, and then when stuff hits the fan, they're like, no, I don't want to go that much deeper. I'm done, right? And that can happen with geographic location as well. We move to a new city and all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's a completely fresh start here. We don't have drama with anyone, right? We haven't experienced those sort of like soured connections or bad blood that happens when conflict arises in a community. Everything is like fresh and brand new. So when we're looking at this, what we're really looking at is a discomfort with conflict, with going a little deeper in order to know ourselves or our communities or our partners or our social circles a little better. We end up saying, this is too much work. As soon as things like start to turn sour, right? I don't like my job anymore, right? This can happen with jobs too. I'm having a conflict with my boss, and instead of sitting down and negotiating and speaking to my needs, I'm just going to quit and I'm going to get another job. That's probably a little less easy in today's current economy, right? but it's essentially the same pattern. And what I see when I see a pattern like that happening is I see conflict avoidance. I see a deep-seated belief that other people will not hear and hold space for my needs. This is something that I wouldn't say that I personally suffered from the sort of escapism element, because if anything, I think I tend to stay in situations and keep that conflict. My pattern is like, I'll stay in the situation and I'll keep the conflict avoidance, and I'll just keep adjusting to other people's poor treatment of me, right? Historically, that has been my pattern. It's the same thing that says, I feel uncomfortable speaking up about my needs, but I'll just like adapt and I'll edit myself down, right? And this is such a great question, because it speaks to, again, that deep-seated belief that if we were to state our needs, if we were to attempt to navigate or negotiate the situations that we would need to confront in order to resolve the conflict that comes up, we believe that we wouldn't be heard, we wouldn't be met. And this has happened to me before. This has happened to me specifically. The example I'm thinking of dating and relationship situations. I had a deep-seated belief that if I spoke up about my needs or the things that I needed to be comfortable or the things that I needed to see adjusted or changed, that the people I was dating would basically say, oh no, well, I'm just a piece of crap, I can't do that, I told you from the beginning, I'm no good, and blah, blah, blah. And historically, that has happened, right? And then I'm left with this very uncomfortable decision. Well, did they essentially call my bluff, right? Did they, am I just going to kind of suck it up now? And in which case, I've basically admitted that my speaking up and stating my needs has zero power whatsoever because I'm not willing to walk away, right? Or do I walk away, which sucks? And I walk away, and then it's like, well, everyone sucks, and nobody will ever hear me out, and everyone's always going to keep choosing their own selfish, habits or whatever over, what I need to be to feel like I'm being treated with basic human decency and I hate the world, right? This is how I ended up suicidal. FYI. Is that I really believed, because I had encountered so many situations like that, I really believed that nobody would hear out my needs, that I would forever be sort of consigned to just adapting and editing myself down, and that really sucked, right? So what I want to say is that if you're really working on cultivating social circles where people have the same values that hopefully you do, and those values are conflict resolution, clear communication, creating relationships where everyone's needs are honored, a value that being honest and authentic about what your feelings and your needs are is positive and helpful for everyone involved, because it lays everything out on the table so that you can see all the puzzle pieces and figure out how they're best going to fit together in a way that serves everyone involved, right? Because ideally you want a partner or an employer or friends or a social circle that when you speak up about things, that they're like, cool, thank you for telling me. I literally just a couple hours before right now, before hopping on to make this video, I had a pretty difficult conversation with someone who is sort of a creative collaborator. And I was like, something bothered me, and I'm not like upset about the past. I was like, I don't need any apologies, because it was actually about something. The outcome was pretty trivial, but it speaks to a key value that's going to be important to address going forward, basically. And this person was so cool about it. They were like, yeah, I apologize, and you know what, I think I worded that the wrong way, and I hear you, and here's how I plan to this is our plan for addressing this in the future. Man, that was so great, right? So this is not so much about geographic location. It's manifesting itself in geographic location, but really the underlying issue is there's a fear of the minute everything turns sour, right? And this is like a very, this is a very sort of like borderline personality disorder symptom. I put that in quotes because I think it's a totally made up personality disorder that's really describing a trauma reaction. I have other videos about that if you Google them, but I'm not going to get into that in this one. But essentially it's that, like, the minute things go wrong, I'm not going to be able to resolve this conflict. So I either put you on a pedestal because you're wonderful, or the minute that, you don't, that something goes sour or something feels bad, then it's like, well, you're just trash, right? Because I can't stand up and tell you what my needs are, and I definitely don't trust you to hear those needs and to hold space for them and to create a solution that helps us both. So what I really would love to address is, can you hold the value in yourself so strongly that conflict is an opportunity for greater knowledge, greater understanding, greater peace between people? And can you use that to attract a social circle around you that's going to feel the same way in whatever city you're in, right? Because if you come to a new city and you still have the same beliefs, then you're going to create social circles in that geographic location that are still going to mirror those same beliefs to you. This really comes down to the value of sticking with something, or someone, right? Whether it's a city, a job, a relationship, a friendship. It comes down to, am I willing to do the messy work of conflict resolution? Am I okay with stating my needs to someone? And also knowing that there's going to be a chance that we do state our needs to someone, and they're going to come back with, yeah, well, I'm a piece of crap, I can't do it, I told you from the beginning. And then we know, right? Then that's our discernment that says, oh, you don't hold the same value as I do. So, okay, thank you, and I'm going to step away from this connection, right? It takes time for our external circumstances to catch up to the internal work that we've done. So if that happens a couple times, don't be surprised. Discern away and keep holding to that value and saying, I am creating social circles where it is safe for me to state my needs, where it is welcomed for me to state my needs, where I am surrounded by people who would want me to speak up if I was uncomfortable. I can say now that, having put a couple years into this work, I think my conversation earlier today shows that absolutely I have succeeded in the past couple years in surrounding myself with people who want me to speak up when I'm uncomfortable. And also, if I have friends who are, maybe uncomfortable with something I'm doing unconsciously, or the way that something is playing out in a way that I don't understand, I want them to speak up too. It's not easy for me. I still might feel those little, oh God, what did I do, right? But if they come to me and say, hey, this part isn't working for me, is there a way we can address this? And I'll be like, yeah, let's, of course I want to find a solution. Of course I don't want you to just sit there being uncomfortable with something that I don't want to be a part of that, right? I don't want to be a reason. I don't want my unconscious actions to be causing you to be uncomfortable in a way that you don't even feel comfortable speaking up about. Finding people with these values is going to help you stick in situations and see them through and resolve conflict, instead of just creating that binary between you're great, everything's fine, everything's new and fresh and wonderful, versus everything has gone sour and this is past the point of resolution, right? And knowing when to speak up, knowing when to say, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable with something. Is it cool if we talk about it right now? Man, that has been a challenge for me. But it's paid off so much. And, I had an experience recently where I brought this up with someone who I was, definitely afraid of losing, right? With the understanding also that, well, if I do lose them, it's kind of the funny thing about creating the repatterning project is that I kind of have to live by it now. I kind of have to practice what I preach, right? So with the understanding that I was like, well, if they don't listen to this, if they don't hold space for me, if they just dismiss it, or they're just like, well, I'm a piece of crap, I can't do anything about that, then they were meant to leave from my life, right? Because I no longer abide by that. I no longer have room for that kind of defeatist energy in my life. If you're going to say, well, I'm just a piece of crap and I can't change, then that's what you're choosing, and best of luck with that, right? So it really is about the value of conflict resolution. Anytime we're trying to escape a situation, it's because we don't want to get in the stickiness and the messiness of actually speaking up about our feelings and trusting that they will be welcomed, that they will be held, that they will be navigated in a way that creates a resolution that's in everyone's best interest. Understanding that we're making a choice to surround ourselves with people who value our feelings, who want to know if we're uncomfortable. That's really it. It's less about the geographic location, and it's more about our own relationship to when do things feel like they're starting to go a little sour, and do we speak up, and do we go forward? I've definitely been guilty in the past of just being, well, forget it, I'm not going to be able to navigate things with that person, or being like, well, forget it, I'm not going to be able to navigate things with that person. I might as well just put up with that because I'm afraid of losing them. That's how I stayed in, super toxic relationships for, years at a time, because I kept feeling like if I changed, then something would change. And really, I had to change in a different way, in a much broader way than I was considering. So, escapism is essentially a fear of conflict resolution. The more comfortable you get with stating your needs and trusting that they will be valued, and also trusting that if they're not valued, then you can leave that connection, but that there's plenty of opportunities for more and more connection wherever you are. It doesn't matter which city you're in. There's plenty of places you can make social circles in any town you live in. You'd have to live in a small town of like 50 people for this not to be true. And even then, maybe you just find the 5 that you like, whatever that is. Hopefully this was helpful. Cool. Thank you for asking this question, because I like being able to do that deep dive and really get to what I believe is the heart of the matter. I appreciate that opportunity. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.